I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who were always engaged in worshipping Radha Krishna in the transcendental land of Vrndavan, where there are beautiful trees full of fruits and flowers, which have under their roots all valuable jewels. By Srinivas Acharya. The Goswamis left so many handwritten books. When they were dispatched, it was a full cartload, a big cartload. They were great scholars, writing many varieties of books on Krishna consciousness. So these Goswamis were engaged in chanting and dancing very loudly, not softly. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, 18th of November, 1968. Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan was the older brother of Rupa, and from early childhood their days were filled with remembering Krishna. They named the forests in which they played after the 12 forests of Vrndavan, and called their favourite bathing ponds Radha Kund and Shama Kund. When Sanatan grew up, he met Lord Chaitanya in Jagannath Puri. Lord Chaitanya taught him the science of devotional service and asked him to write books about Krishna. Lord Chaitanya instructed Sanatan Goswami to go to Vrindavan and rediscover all the lost places where Krishna had his pastimes. These places, such as where Krishna defeated Kaliya in the Jamuna River, or where Krishna played with his cowherd boyfriends, had been covered over with forest. Sanatan lived in Vrindavan for many years, writing books, giving guidance to devotees, building temples, and rediscovering the places of pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Rupa Goswami. Rupa was the younger brother of Sanatan. He left home when he was a young man and travelled to Jagannath Puri, where he met Haridas Thakur and then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya instructed Rupa Goswami and then asked him to go to Vrindavan. One day after he arrived, he was sitting under a tree when a beautiful cowherd boy came there and told Rupa about a cow that comes to the top of a nearby hill every day and pours her milk into a hole in the ground. This boy said, "Under the ground is the magnificent deity of Govindaji. He was buried in the hill to protect him from an invading Muslim army. After some time, people forgot he was there, but every day a large cow comes to this place and showers her milk there to feed Govindaji." The boy then disappeared. The next morning, Rupa Goswami went to the spot the boy had shown him and waited. Soon a beautiful Sarabi cow came and poured her milk down on top of the hill. Rupa Goswami quickly organized a group of men to dig, and after removing a small amount of earth, they saw the enchanting form of Sri Govindaji. With tears running down his face, Rupa Goswami offered his obeisances, prayers and hymns to Govindaji. People began to arrive. Even Lord Brahma and other demigods assumed the form of human beings and mingled with the crowds. A huge ceremony was organized for the worship of Govindaji, and villagers from far and near cooked preparations from milk, yogurt, rice, flour, and vegetables and ghee. Rupa Goswami sent word to Lord Chaitanya in Puri of the auspicious event, and he immediately sent Kasisvara Pandit from Puri to assist in worshipping Govindaji. A beautiful temple was constructed, and everyone regularly came to see the deity. Rupa Goswami wrote many books, including the Nectar of Devotion and the Nectar of Instruction. Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami was the nephew of Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. When he was a young boy, Jiva carefully worshipped deities of Balaram and Krishna. And after offering them flowers and sweets, Jiva would take some of the prasadam and give it to his playmates, thus exhibiting his kindness to Jivas from an early age. Once, in a dream, Sri Jiva saw that his deities, Balaram and Krishna, had taken the forms of Nitai Gauranga, and they were dancing. Jiva Goswami later travelled to Vrndavan, where he joined the company of his two uncles, Sri Rupa and Sri Sanatan, who instructed him in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Jiva Goswami built 4 large temples in Vrndavan, as well as constructing a library where he stored all the handwritten copies of the books that Rupa, Sanatan, and the other Goswamis wrote. Jiva Goswami himself wrote over 25 books and was one of the greatest scholars who ever lived. Gopala Bhatta Goswami. When Gopala Bhatta Goswami was a young boy, Lord Chaitanya came to the town where he lived and stayed for 4 months during the rainy season. Lord Chaitanya allowed Gopala to serve him each day, and when it was time for Lord Chaitanya to leave that town, Gopala cried tearfully. Out of his mercy, Lord Chaitanya stayed a few more days for Gopala's sake. During that time, Gopala Bhatta had a dream in which Lord Chaitanya appeared as Krishna. Lord Chaitanya told Gopala in that dream that when he grew up, he would meet 2 great persons, Sri Rupa and Sri Sanatan, who would write many books about Krishna. Indeed, when Gopala Bhatta was older, he travelled to Vrindavan, where he was greeted with great love by Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. When Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami took permission from all the Vaishnavas before writing the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Gopala Bhatta Goswami also gave him his blessings. But he requested Krishnadas not to mention his name in the book. Therefore, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has mentioned Gopala Bhatta only very cautiously in 1 or 2 places in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath Das took birth in an aristocratic and wealthy family, and he was their only son. His uncle, who was also wealthy, had no children, and so Raghunath's family hoped that he would become the head of their rich dynasty when he grew up. But from an early age, Sri Raghunath's interest lay elsewhere. During his childhood, Haridas Thakur visited his home many times, and due to his association, Raghunath Das longed to be with Lord Chaitanya. When Raghunath was about 12 years old, he continually began weeping. When can I meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Finally, Raghunath met Lord Nityananda Prabhu when he visited nearby, and some days later, Raghunath Das Goswami walked for 12 days to Jagannath Puri to see Lord Chaitanya. He stayed there and served the Lord for 16 years. After Lord Chaitanya left, Raghunath Das Goswami went to Vrndavan, where Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami welcomed him dearly. One day, when Raghunath Das Goswami was sitting by the banks of the Jamuna, he was deep in meditation of Krishna. The sun overhead was very hot, and Radharani came there and held a cloth over Raghunath's head to shelter him. Sanatan Das Goswami arrived there and observed this wonderful pastime. Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. When Raghunath Bhatta was 9 years old, Lord Chaitanya travelled to the city he lived in and stayed for 2 months. Every day, Lord Chaitanya accepted his daily lunch at Raghunath's parents' home. Raghunath Bhatta, although only a young boy, would daily await the arrival of Sri Chaitanya. He would anxiously approach Lord Chaitanya and ask to be engaged in some service. Sri Chaitanya allowed the boy to massage his legs and wash his dishes. When Lord Chaitanya left to continue his journey, Raghunath Bhatta was heartbroken. As the years passed, he never forgot Lord Chaitanya. Finally, when he was 20 years old, he left home to go to where Lord Chaitanya was living in Puri. While Raghunath Bhatta was walking to Puri, he was thinking, I wonder if Mahaprabhu will remember me. I was a small child then, and here at Puri he has so many devotees. I doubt if he would remember such a worthless wretch as me. But when he arrived in Puri and was about to offer his obeisances to Lord Chaitanya, Sri Gaurasunda called out, Raghunath! And before Raghunath Bhatta could offer his obeisances, Mahaprabhu embraced him very firmly. After 8 months, Lord Chaitanya instructed Raghunath Bhatta Goswami to go to Vrndavan and place himself under the care of Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is lovelier than millions of cupids. He is mellower than millions of moons, dearer than millions of mothers, kinder than millions of wish-fulfilling trees, deeper than millions of oceans, and sweeter than millions of nectarian drinks.